We need to let go of the safety of the rail and all that brings up, all the fear. What if I'm not good enough? Imposter syndrome. Well, what if I am good enough? What if it's the success I'm fearing, right? What would people think of me? Is that really me?
I went and got a diploma in professional coaching so that it was a credible qualification. But then it felt like it was just bouncing on the surface. It wasn't deep enough. And so I looked for something that would take me into behaviour change.
We still need to have that personal courage to let go of what will people think of me. This is my old identity. What's going to happen?
Having been farming for 3 decades, that's a completely different space to be in, to this weird thing where you're basically tapping on your face.
Well, hi Mai, from my heart place to your heart place, and welcome to the Heart Place Hospital podcast. To Jenny and Tanja.
Hello,
thanks for being here.
Yeah, well, so welcome to the special episode of this podcast and the three of us are fresh off the success of an online fundraiser that we collaborated called Energise Your Life with EFT. And so we're joined today by you two remarkable guests. So Tanja, you're a coach and EFT practitioner, and Jenny Malcom, you're a clarity coach and EFT practitioner too. So I'd love for you each, if we start with you, maybe Jenny, share with those that are listening how this came about for you.
Okay, so for 3 years, Jackie, I was 3 decades, not 3 years, 3 decades. I was a farmer. I was a very driven, determined, successful dairy farmer to begin with, and then more latterly a sheep and beef farmer. I was on a mission since about the age of 4 to be a farmer like my dad. I wanted, and this is curious when I look back, it was the feeling of freedom, which is my top core value, that I was seeking unintentionally, unwittingly, knowing that being a farmer and having my own farm would give me all of the freedom that I needed, and also driven by being purposeful, and that really drove my whole progress. So it was curious when in my early 40s I achieved those massive goals that I had set for myself and arrived in this new home that I had built with my then husband to move into as our 6-person family, and woke up the next morning feeling quite depressed, I have to say, and thought, oh my goodness, this is not how it was meant to be. This was supposed to be the end result. This was supposed to be amazing. What is going on? And for the next probably 5 years, I was really low, and farming was all I had ever known. I'd lived in my science head intellect space for all of that time. And I knew I had more to offer, but I didn't know what. And I didn't have the courage to even think about walking away from farming. However, it didn't feel like it used to feel anymore. And that was really uncomfortable. I mean, really, really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I kept checking to see if my husband then was feeling the same. And no, he was fine. So like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? And so I started to search for other things, and I came across coaching. Tony Robbins was the person, I think, who I'd never come across before, but he really resonated, his books. And I did a short self-coaching program with him, and thought, oh yeah, this is where I need to be. I love asking questions, and that's what coaching's all about. And in a previous job, as I was just starting my farming career, I had been a farm consultant. And in hindsight, I had been coaching my clients, not consulting them. So it just felt like the right thing to do. So I went and got a diploma in professional coaching so that it was a credible qualification. But then it felt like it was just bouncing on the surface. It wasn't deep enough. And so I looked for something that would take me into behavior change, because that felt like I wanted to know more about how we tick. And that's when I found NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and that took me out of my headspace and it opened up this whole new world. Oh my goodness, I have a mind and a body, and became an NLP practitioner and started to really get into the feelings and start to release stuff and change belief patterns. And oh my goodness, this was opening up a whole new world. And then I was still searching for something that was going to help a binge eating problem that I'd had for years. I'd get stressed and I'd just hard out binge. And so NLP was giving me a little bit of a hint of a change, but not enough. And so one desperate holiday, I got online after having finished a whole cake of chocolate, looking for something else, and stumbled across this really weird thing. It was actually Gabrielle Bernstein, the blonde chick, who was doing this EFT thing on herself for a sugar craving, for a chocolate craving. And I did it, and I thought, oh my God, this works. What is this? It's really weird. And then I went looking more and found, oh my goodness, it's got science behind it, 20 years of science. Dr. Peter Stapleton in Australia at Bond University has done all this research around food cravings. Oh my goodness, I've got to have a bit of this. So that's when I contacted Tanja and said, oh my goodness, I think I've got to go and train and do this. And that was 4 or 5 years ago. And it's been life-changing. It's involving the mind and the body, which are intricately connected. They talk to each other all the time. And I work with inspiring go-getters now to, that are in that transformational phase. They're going from one thing to the next thing. Maybe they're feeling a bit stuck, a bit of resistance. And so we do these vivid visions of what they want, where they want to go, driven underneath by their core values, which are their internal drivers, their internal motivators. And then we use EFT to remove the resistance that keeps them stuck. And oh my goodness, it's such an amazing thing to watch these inspiring go-getters go off and have this ripple effect in their field, doing the magical thing that they are then, that's what they're here to do. Yeah, and beautiful. I've been part of that process.
Oh, thank you. What a great story. Thank you so much, Jenny. And what about you, Tanja?
Yeah, I came, so my background way back originally from Germany, where I'm from, is in the hotel industry. And I came to New Zealand as a 24-year-old. And I was 33 when we had our first child and 37 when we had the twins. So we've got a girl and 2 boys. And when I was about 48, which is 9 years ago, I just literally had these dark clouds around me that I did not know where they came from. They were completely foreign to me. The glass is half full and the other half was yummy kind of girl. And I remember sitting on the floor one morning, weeping after everyone had gone off to school and to work, wondering what this is and thinking, oh, maybe this is perimenopause. That hadn't occurred to me until then either. And then I kind of went, well, how do other women cope? How do women cope who are not in a loving relationship or financially secure? And I decided, weeping on the floor, that I would want to help those women. And the irony was clear to me even then. Anyway, I kind of went, well, how do I do that? Maybe I'll become a coach. And then it's kind of, and this kind of is like it then went a zig and a zag and a zig and a zag and a zig and a zag. And so I looked for coaching. I couldn't find anything that was what I wanted. And I spoke to a friend who already was a coach. And she said for her, it all started with her NLP training. in Raglan, where there's an amazing NLP trainer called Stephanie Phillips. And that's where I went, and that's where I met Jenny. And you see, this is where I now know, I kind of knew then, but now I live it so much more fully aware that life is guiding us. You know, that when we let ourselves be lived, and don't resist what's coming towards us, or think we want to choose that because our mind or our ego or our preconceived ideas wants us to think this is what we want, but we actually let ourselves be chosen, then we're never wrong, right? And then everything is easy. The right trainer comes along, you know, the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that can be a course, that can be a book, that can be a friend. And that's exactly what happened. So we met, Jenny and I, at the NLP course. I then did my coaching qualification afterwards. And then I kind of wondered, well, how can I get to my niche of, you know, perimenopausal women? And then a book appeared, and then a course online appeared around health coaching. And it was actually an Auckland-based company called Precure, Prevention is Cure. And I loved their message and what they were trying to achieve. And so I qualified as a health coach. And then Jenny's email arrived saying, I found this weird thing online called EFT. What do you think? Is it a bit woo-woo? That was the subject line in her subject line. And I tried it out, and I looked at the founder's website and kind of taught myself for a day or two, a little bit, and then tried it. And yeah, it worked, just like Jenny experienced. And I was on the phone to her and said, yeah, let's do this. Let's train.
Yeah.
And so we did. Yeah. And you know, there's this, and that came with a lot of, I didn't want to let go of the health coach because the health coach wasn't acceptable, kind of, you know, that was still brand new. You know, in New Zealand, there weren't any health coaches 3 years ago, but that felt a bit more respectable, a more acceptable kind of thing. But then something, as always, I would say, as often as always, probably something happened. Specifically, I ended up using EFT for all of my clients. It was no longer that for some I used a bit of EFT. I was using it for all of them. And then I had a personal experience, literally this time last year, where an old trauma that my head knew had happened and that my head thought I had dealt with. And then, you know, something happened on a physical level and my body went, no, you haven't. And I used so much tapping over summer, and the shift in me and the energy since releasing all of that old stuff has released this energy, this life force, you know, some would call it. And with that happened an identity shift. So last year I considered myself a health coach who does EFT as part of her tools. And earlier this year, it became really clear, actually, I'm an EFT practitioner who happens to know about health coaching. And so I changed my whole website over because I wanted that to be reflected. And the exciting things that we have done this year, for me, were personally that I did them was a result of this. And this is where a lot of the collaboration between Jenny and I come from as well, from my side of it. And Jenny has her own story around that too.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, thank you so much. I feel like we've really delved into life and the transformations and transitions that occur in life. And I think more and more people are discovering that. And like myself and like yourselves, a few years ago, we didn't know how to actually do the transformation and transition, whereas now we're just getting more and more people who've had their pain to purpose stories, their lived experience, and they're now wanting to be of service for others, which is the three of us. You know, we've been to the School of Hard Knocks. We didn't see anything. Then, like you've said, Tanja, these things appear. Life is happening for us, and I guess we're also seeing a lot of women who are in their transformational, transitional years who are going, actually, I don't want a woman to have to go through this alone. So I'm going to do something about it. So yay for us. And you've also alluded kind of the zigzags. So I wonder if you could share some of those moments with our listeners, because if someone's listening and they're kind of curious and they'd like to add something to their kite, or if they're also wanting to access support, I think it's really important that people see that, we've been knocked down and we've come back up again. So I'd just love to share, Jenny, if you could just share a couple of, whether they're highlights or lowlights, that you've encountered as because you're breaking glass ceilings, you're doing things that our mothers weren't doing. So I wonder if you've got anything to share on that.
Yeah, well, a couple of things come to mind. So having been farming for 3 decades, that's a completely different space to be in, to this weird thing where you're basically tapping on your face. So it took a lot of courage to step away. And in fact, I was very aware over time that I was not wanting to let go of the old, the familiar, as you break into these new levels of consciousness and start to rise, it's the letting go, the safety of what you know and what others know you as. That felt like a big courageous step to move away from farming and into this new thing. However, as time went on and I used it on myself, as well as the amazing transformations I saw with other people, and they accepted me, like my clients came to me as a coach first and foremost, my farming clients initially. And then I started to incorporate EFT because they trusted me already. So I just incorporated in a little bit, and they were getting these amazing transformations, and, we'd be sitting in my lounge doing this weird thing, but we were doing it together and they trusted me and it was okay. And then over time, it was just like became part of me because I just trusted it so much. The other thing I just want to drop in there, and I hope this is okay with my children, I have 4 beautiful girls. 3 of them are doctors in the medical system. They do amazing work, and living in a house full of very, very intelligent people. When mum's over here doing this weird thing, that's been tough, and that's been really tough. And I trust the tool, and I trust that it's taken me through these levels, and I've stuck with it, even though I've wanted to dive out of it again because it wasn't normal and it wasn't mainstream. But I've just trusted it because I know it works and I know it makes a difference. And I'm just accepting that my girls are doing their amazing thing and I'm doing my amazing thing, and they accept me for the amazing things I'm doing. And it's okay that they don't want a part of it.
Yeah.
And can I just straight add to that? I think that is actually such a big part of your question, Jackie. Where did we get stuck? What were the hurdles? It's often that, right? It's our old identity of our personality, not our true identity, spirit and all that, but our personality. And so we come from these environments. And these are fears, they're literally fears. What happens when I'm seen to do this? My clients trust me, but what about my family? All this kind of stuff. I've got a similar thing. My husband is also in the medical system. And so the health coaching seemed legit. EFT practitioner, maybe not quite so, but because there is a lot of science, and this is where both Jenny and I feel so much gratitude for people like Peter Stapleton, Dr. Dawson Church, that have done so much research, because the early EFT practitioners, they had nothing other than the results of their clients, which was enough for them because they kept going. But we have over 20 years of science, so we can say to anyone, look, this is science-based. We even know the basics of how this is working in the body now and all this kind of thing. So it's really helpful for us. And yet we still need to have that personal courage to let go of what will people think of me. This is my old identity. What's going to happen? And you know, this, when Jenny was talking, I wrote down swimming pool side. And this is something I'd read in a, who knows where, somewhere along the line. This shift, this transformation is us hanging on to the rail on the side of the swimming pool going, I want to be on the other side. And while I'm hanging on to the rail, that ain't going to happen. So Jenny used the word, I need to let go. We need to let go of the safety of the rail and all that brings up, all the fear. What if I'm not good enough? Imposter syndrome. Well, what if I am good enough? What if it's the success I'm fearing, right? What will people think of me? Is that really me? Yeah, and a million other things, right? Each of us. And you know that old book from the 80s, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other way. I mean, we, with this tool and other tools, we can deal with the fear. We don't just need to feel it and do it anyway. We can actually release it and then do it.
Yeah.
But that all has to happen. It is not a linear process, that's for sure.
No way. I love this. Thank you so much, Jenny and Tanja. This is amazing. And I know when I stepped out of conventional medicine and into paths that thankfully others had created, I too was like, oh my God, what's everyone going to think? And this is just the pits, and all that happened. You know, people slipped away, and lots of changes happened. And I always talk about being on the roller coaster and holding on. And I literally, like, one finger at a time, let go of the roller coaster. But then when you let go, you're like, and you just have the best time. But something one of my magical mentors said to me, and I say it to people all the time, is she said to me, I have got enough trust and faith for all of us. You can borrow some of mine until you find yours. And it was enough for me to take that next breadcrumb or that next step. And now, like you, I've just seen so many people, and the other side, you know, the letting go of the side of the swimming pool, the other side, and how fabulous that is, and what it brings into people's lives. And we were talking about this before we push record. We often talk about, you know, letting go of limiting beliefs or supporting past traumas or generational trauma and all this sort of thing. But there's very little talked about the beautiful other side, the freedom, you know, that the emotional freedom technique actually provides. And we haven't really talked about EFT, but I'm going to put our video that we did together, and so people can actually look at what emotional freedom is, in the science behind it, and the practicality of it. But this is just a really good, important conversation for people to see who are knowing that they need support with their health, don't know where to go to next. And we have all, of course, are big fans of magical mentors, actually being guided or doulaed or stewarded through. And the beautiful thing is that these modalities, we can then, they're in our kitty, they're in our pocket. We can access them whenever we need them. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? I'll give you this opportunity.
I just wanted to say, this is something we talked a little bit before we pushed recording as well, is that, you know, when people are at this point that Jenny was when she woke up in her new house feeling depressed, or that I was when I was sitting on the floor crying, that is not a bad thing, right? We don't, and Jenny and I talked at length about this the other day. When we are at this pain point, and there's no other way to describe it, right? That is a pain point, and where the pain of staying like this is actually bigger than the pain and the money and the effort and the energy it takes to change, then we're coachable. Then change can happen. And what drives that is never our rational mind. It is not our intellect. It is a feeling. So it comes from the heart. Yeah. It's a feeling of, I might not know what it is in logistics and specifics that I want to do, but I can feel that where I am right now is not the right place, because what I'm feeling right now is not good. And I know from deep inside that there is more, and that I'm not meant to feel this way. I'm meant to feel joy. I'm meant to feel inspired. I'm meant to feel passion. And how I'm going to feel that, I'm not sure yet, but I know I want to feel that. That is a good enough starting point. And then you said the words, we just follow the crumbs. That's what we do. And it is our heart that is guiding us. Our emotions are our guiding systems. They will take us. So every time we do feel a little bit of joy, we go, oh, let's head that way. Because that's showing us the way. When we feel those good feelings, we know we're on the right path. We don't know what the path is necessarily.
Yeah.
Some people know. I didn't necessarily. But then we know we're heading the right direction. And that's all we need to know, right? And then again, we come back to where we started. Then life guides us.
Absolutely.
You know, the doors that slam in our face, that's because that's not our path. When things become quicksand and sticky and difficult, we're not on our path. So if we pivot and follow our heart, we are on the right path, whatever that is.
Yeah. Hence Heart Place Hospital. Finding your heart place. Yeah, absolutely. There are no bad parts. You know, all our parts make up our whole. So you're absolutely right. And we've got this awe-inspiring body that gives us messages like on the moments in any given moment. So yeah, there's a lot of quashing and unlearning and remembering to be done, and that's where your modalities are so fabulous for that sort of thing. And then also, like I said, we can access it ourselves. You know, we've got that within us. We don't have to keep continuing having someone else fix or help us. What we do need is we need people of service, which is what we've the message that we've all got is that we provide a service so that people can see that life happens for us, and like you say, that these curveballs that redirect us to find our joy. That's how we're designed to experience joy. And yeah, more and more of us are offering that for other people, because we know we've experienced both polarities. So
yeah, absolutely. And we know that there are tools. And if anyone wants to know a little more, I love it that you're putting that other recording underneath it, and presumably both Jenny and my website, which is awesome. And Jenny and I are both, I'm speaking on your behalf, Jenny, because I know that's true on this one, and you can confirm or deny that we're really open to having just conversations. We both offer free discovery kind of sessions, just for people to get to know us a little bit more, but to also for us to understand what their issues are, and can we help them with that. You know, so that's what these free sessions are there for. So make use of them. That's my message.
And that's also where Heart Place Hospital comes in with our funding as well. We can support those who are coming through and see if working with you ladies is the right fit. So we're all about it being bespoke and unique and works for that individual rather than a tick box support. So contact Heart Place Hospital as well if that's something people want to look into. And then this is how people can support Heart Place Hospital as well, as through our donations or events or our online store, all sorts of different ways. We've registered charities, so people can get a tax receipt for that, and help us support others to access these multifaceted, multidimensional support. So we are creating a simple and sustainable health and education system. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Jenny and Tanja, and look forward to spending more time with you again soon.